forgot I had to work on this guy today. It's gonna be just an oil change, but I think I need to change the O-ring for this thing right here. That's the power steering. It needs to be changed every, I don't know, couple of thousand miles. Usually it goes bad. You can hear it when you're turning the wheel, it's squealing. So it's notorious for the O-ring, the plastic O-ring or rubber O-ring to go out on this one. I gotta change that, but first things first, we gotta do the oil change. Yeah, oil change. Like almost 2,000 over that I had to do it. So I'm really behind right now. So let's do it. Let's do it. All right, I got the car on jack stands. You guys see it back there. Don't rely on just having the jack, because again, this thing is hydraulic. If it fails, especially if you're under the car, not good, not good. All right, let's say. All right, you guys can see the drain plug, the oil drain plug is right here, which is yucky. And here's the oil filter we're just gonna change also. Yeah, let's take a look at what's going on here. Looks like I have an oil leak somewhere. Looks like right here at the gasket, the head gasket, which is not a good thing. Alright, let's go ahead and change the oil. This is a 17. Make sure our pan is underneath. What you need to do is put a little bit of pressure back into the hole, and then when you know you can take it off and let go. There it is. So let that drain out for a little bit. Look how black and dirty that is. Let's go ahead and clean this off. All right, guys, a couple of things. If you're doing it by yourself, check the bolt, because it is recommended that you always replace it with a new one. But if it's still good, you don't need to. More than half the time you don't really need to, but always check it. And this thing is less than replacing a new motor. So if you can afford to replace it, just replace it. All right, well, I'm gonna be like this sideways, guys. So while that thing is still draining, still coming out a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and take out the filter, which is right next to it, which is awesome. Back then on the, well, not back then, but on the Hondas, like the CRX that I have usually is in the, well, the older Hondas are in the back of the motor, so it's really hard to get to. And you know, once you get it out, because there's oil in the filter, so once you get it out, it's usually somewhat of a mess. It's great that it's closer here, it's easier to get to. Well, you know what, it's already dripping. Looks like we're almost at the end of it. So what you need to do also before you put this bolt back in, let's go ahead and do it now, is check the opening. Make sure there's no debris or anything like that. Just use the same rag. Wipe it down real quick. Just clean it off. So here's a trick, guys, when you're or anything with a bolt. What you want to do is, because it is what you spin to the right to tighten it, you want to spin it to the left a little bit, so let the bolt, the thread sit. Once you feel it sit down into the groove, and then start turning it. I like to hand tighten it, make sure it's good and clean, and then tighten it. Once again, don't force it, guys. Once it stops, just give it like a quarter push, you'll be done. Or if you really want to be technical about it, go ahead and get a torque wrench and torque it to spec. All right, so we're gonna get the oil filter. I'll show you guys where the oil filter is. I'll wipe my hands off this oil. So it is boom shakalaka right here. So if you guys can see, here's the oil pan. Here's the bolt that we took off. You guys can see that bolt, and right next to it is the filter. So which is a great spot for it because you're already under the car and it's right here. So let's go and take it out. You might need a wrench. Let me see if I can do it by hand. Usually I can't. Oh, you know what? Let's turn it. And make sure the pan's underneath. Once again, once you start loosening it, oil's gonna start dripping, so try to be easy on it. You don't want oil to splash all over the place. There you go. Just let it hang for a little bit. Oh, I dropped it. Well, at least it dropped in the pan. So this we're gonna be using. I'm gonna change up the oil that I usually use to a Mobile One, which is this one. This is fully synthetic, and then just your regular Fram oil filter. All right, so what you want to do? You want to check the old one. See the rubber gasket here. Make sure it's not stuck on the car where the oil filter was. You don't want to put two gaskets on there because it'll definitely mess up the car. So what you want to do is you want to fill this up at least halfway of oil, and then put oil on the gasket right here. Okay. So I like to fill up till it comes up and let it settle in. And that should be more than enough. I don't fill it in all the way. So what you need to do is get your finger with oil. Just put oil on the gasket. Creates a seal. All right, let's go ahead and put this back in. All right, still dripping a little bit, but what we want to do now is we want to wipe it down, especially where the gasket's gonna sit. So again, turn it the opposite way, let it sit, because you don't want to mess up the threads. So that's it. That's where it stops. Now I like to just turn it just a little more, and that's it. That's it under here. Let's go ahead and lower the car back down and put oil in it. Yeah. Ah! All right, a couple of things before we put the new oil. Make sure that the filter is all the way flushed and all the way seated. There's only one time that I didn't pay attention. I left I think like a 1/4 inch or maybe even a 1/2 inch gap between the filter and the plate of the filter, the oil filter. That means I just didn't go all the way in. It tightened and I stopped. And I remember starting the car, putting your oil, started the car, and oil was all over the place. It was such a mess. But make sure it's all the way in, guys. It takes 4 liters, or I'm sorry, US is 4.2 US quart. So you already know that like, here's the thing, guys. When you change the oil, there's usually still oil in there, just a little bit of oil, so just put in 4. So if you look at for this one, here's the markings for it, so you kind of know what you're doing. If you get the 5 quart, on the bottom here it says liter and quart. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna go up to here, right at the bottom line there. Then you can always check it later. All right, so it's easier to put more and take out. So I usually go a little bit before the 4 quart and just wait a second and see where we're at as far as the dipstick, the level. And then if we need to add more, we'll add more. Thing here. right there. Don't rush, guys, take your time. So all I like to do is pour in a little bit and check underneath, make sure nothing's leaking. Nope, we're good. So we'll keep going. Let's see, we need two more quarts, or yeah, 2 more quarts. All right, that's 4. All right, so while we're waiting for this thing to settle down, as far as the oil to settle down, I like to check it again, make sure we're on the correct level. I'm gonna start cleaning up, putting the oil filter away in the bag, and getting rid of, the old stuff, right? But make sure you guys dispose it correctly. Don't just throw it in the trash. You can take it to your O'Reilly or AutoZone, wherever you guys get your auto parts from. Usually they have a canister there and they'll take it. So dispose it properly, guys. All right, let's go ahead and check our dipstick. Let's go ahead and wipe it down first. Then okay, still low, so we're gonna put a little bit in. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's still on the L, which is low. We want to be above it, at least in between the L and the F, which is low and full. So we're gonna put a little bit more. All right, looks like we're just at the F, which is full. Let's double check it. All right, I'm gonna let that thing settle one more time. Then I'm gonna go clean up. Got everything poured. I gotta clean the pan, the drain pan. Clean that up, and then clean up your tools. Clean up your tools, guys. So let me put some stuff away. All right, we put everything back. I checked the dipstick again. It's just a little bit, maybe like a hairline over the F, which is fine. The car itself burns oil, so it should be just fine. I used to use the Rotella brand oil for this car because that was what everybody recommended. Used it for, I don't know, a good year, and then I'm gonna switch it this year. I wasn't really too happy with it, so we're gonna change it up to the mobile one, which I know works. I know it works great, so we're gonna switch on that. Oh, and forgot to check. I do have a catch can right here. It's an oil catch can. There is a dipstick. Let's check it. Look at all that sludge. Oh, it should be fine, I think. Let me see. You know what? We need to change it. Look how full that is. So we're gonna change this thing too. All right, so I put this catch can, this oil catch can in here actually about a year ago when I went to the ISS in January. So we're gonna go empty it. I'm gonna show you guys what's in it. What it does is it catches all the oil sediment before it goes back, because this is all vacuum, right? So everything goes back into the intake, and you don't want all that stuff going back to your intake, so that's why I put this in. It's a simple install too. It's just a bypass, really. So everything goes in here and comes out right before it goes into the intake. And theoretically, that water is heavier than air and everything else, so anything that's being sucked back in and out, usually we will just drop into this little canister. So I'm gonna show you guys. Wait, let me wipe this thing down. I'll put that there. So here's the catch can, right? So like I said, everything goes back into the engine bay, and look, you don't want all that stuff to go back in the engine bay. So this is pretty disgusting. Good thing I checked. It's pretty full too, so ooh. Like I said, I'm behind on my oil change. I usually change this up every time I do an oil change. So this is roughly around, I don't know, 5,000 miles of junk. So there it is. It's a simple preventative system here. So let's go ahead and dump this in the and it's thick too. Look how thick that is. See that? Yeesh. So I'm gonna show you guys what else is in there. So if you guys can see, it's just disgusting. Oil always leaks through somewhere inside your engine bay. So this is going through your vacuum system and it's going back into your engine bay, which usually you don't want this stuff because you don't want this thing detonating in your car. So yeah, we're gonna clean this thing out. So here's the oil catch can. I have it set up here. I have nowhere else to put it. So basically what it does is it comes from here, from the intake. It goes in, sucking the air. It's just all vacuum, right? So it's pulling and pushing. Pulling air, circulating, it comes back out and goes back in there. And anything heavy, theoretically, will just fall into the canister in here. And it'll just be air. So it's just gonna go in and back out and back into the car. So it just catches all the sediment and oil and all that junk. All right, guys, I took the car for a test drive. I thought it was the power steering because usually when you turn the wheel, if it's whiny, that means do you have air in the power steering. So looking at the reservoir here, get this thing out. It looks good. Usually when you get like air in there, it looks all frothy. I guess that's the word to explain it. It has like air, looks like a milkshake. I mean, you can tell the difference. There's air in it, but it doesn't look like it has air in it. Maybe I just gotta warm it up. I don't know. The car's been kind of temperamental. I don't know what's going on with it. But yeah, I drove around the block. It was whining, stopped, and then actually just parked here and let it run for a few minutes. Took it around the block, then the whining was gone. So maybe I just gotta warm it up. But it was making this weird other noise. It's making a bunch of noise, guys, but it looks like it's gone after it was warmed up. So I don't know. I'll just keep an eye on it right now. I'm not gonna change it. It sounds pretty good right now. It's pretty quiet. So sometimes an oil change will just fix it. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like it sounded pretty good at the moment. It sounded pretty good at the moment. Here, you guys can take a look. And it calmed down too because the RPM was like close to like 1800 RPM. So it was like, it was pretty loud. And then once I drove it around, let it warm up a little bit, it was good. So I guess that's it for now. I did notice that one of the thing here, there you guys. Well, let me just double check here. Let's steer it. See, it's not whining anymore, which is pretty weird. And also just noticed that the headlight or the fog light is gone, or it's out. So I gotta replace the bulb. Hopefully it's just a bulb. I don't know. Well, anyways, guys, that's it. This is something different for the channel, just a little preventative maintenance for the car. It's part of that daily grind. It's part of the daily grind. If you haven't done so, guys, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.